Okay, so now that we have our basic rig, we need to create an iRig system. So we're going to turn off our bonds. We're going to turn off our geometry. I'm going to hide all these controllers into a new layer. So I'm going to call this one controllers. I'm going to select all of my controllers and add them there. Next, I'm going to go to my geometry. And I'm going to remove my eyes from my geometry. So I'm going to select them on my eyelids. I'm going to right click on my geometry and remove selected. I'm going to create a new layer, call it eyes. And not selected. Right, so next what we're going to make sure is that our eyes have their pivot centered. So we're going to go into modify and center pivot. So now we know it's in the center. And the next thing we need to do is go into the rigging tab, and we're going to use locators to control the eye. So we're going to select the locator, we're going to select the eye, we're going to go into modify, and we're going to go match transformations and then match all transforms, and it's going to go to the center of the eye. And the first thing we're going to do now is rename it, so control left eye. Then we're going to duplicate it, and this one's going to be control right eye. And again, we're going to select the locator, select the eye, modify, match transformations, match transform. Next, we're going to select it, and we're going to move it away. So about there will be fine. Next, what we need to do is modify and freeze the transformations. And now we need to add a constraint. So we're going to go into rigging again. We're going to select one locator, the eye, constrain, aim. We need to make sure that maintain offset is clicked. And then we're going to click apply. Then we're going to do the same for the other one. Apply, then close. So now when we grab this, they both are going to move. So what would be good is to create something to control these two. So create a new circle. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees on the X. I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to go to control vertex and make it look like a visor. That will work. I'm going to go object mode again. I'm going to make it fit into the locator pressing V. So I'm moving it into the position. So there, from there I'm going to center it a tiny bit. So what I think is the center, it's about there somewhere. And we're going to modify freeze transformations. And from there all we're going to do is select both of our controllers, select our main control, and we're going to press P to parent it. And we're going to name this I control I. I'm going to grab these two locators, and what I'm going to do is hide it with the bond. So hide selected. So I'll select it, and then they disappear. One thing we realize is that we're only going to move it on the X and the Y. So we could hide everything else. So I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to say lock and hide selected. So now we can only rotate it. Well, we can only translate it into main things X and Y. Next, what we need to create is a blinking system. So to do that, we need to create a new attribute. So edit, add attribute. We're going to go minimum of 0, maximum of 1, and we're going to name it blinking. And we're going to click OK. So we got a brand new blinking attribute, and it goes from 0 to 1. And to create the rest, we're going to need to create a set driven key. So first we need to go into the animation tab, key, set driven key, and then click on set and the square. So we can see the settings. And from here it works in two different ways. The driver, which is controlling it, and the driven, which will be the ones moving. So First, for the driver, we're going to load it, and we're going to be using the blinking, which is at 0 at the moment. Then we're going to be using only the eyelids, and we're going to load them as the driven. So to start with, we're going to select one, and they're going to be rotated on the X. So I'm going to grab my X, and I'm going to key them first because that's their position at 0. And I'm going to do the same for all of them. Yep. So we got the first position at 0. So next is selecting the controller again, and we're going to move it to 1. So now, to make sure that we do it all right, we're going to go to the front view. We're going to zoom in a bit. Right. Then I'm going to go back to the eyelid 1. And we're going to rotate it down. 35 will work. And this time I'm going to key it. Then I'm going to go to the next one. And I think -20 will work. -20. And then we're going to key. Then we'll go to the next one, which we now know is 35. We're going to key. Then we'll go to the next one. And this one is -20 again. And then we're going to key. So now when we grab our controller and we go from 0 to 1, it starts blinking. So let's go back to perspective view now. Let's undo the geometry and our controllers. And we're going to add these eye controllers to the controllers, so add selected objects. So now it should follow it, and also it should blink. So that's our first simple eye control.